All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
Well, there's been a massive debate in this country in the last few weeks over the Ivy League, especially after the university presidents refused to say calling for the genocide against Jews did not per se violate student code of conduct. The debate has a couple of elements. First is the free speech implication as to whether such a statement should constitute harassment. The second is about hypocrisy of these institutions. Unquestionably, they would of course answered in the affirmative if the group was, say, black people or trans people. Now, those who have watched this show already know what I think. I think their answers were actually correct. I don't think any statement should be barred within a First Amendment framework unless it does go in the direction of actually targeting an individual student. That point should be that the entire diversity, equity, and inclusion regime, though, is illegitimate and dumb, that no group of people, period, should be quote-unquote protected. A new front has now emerged in this war to get these presidents fired, and that is going after the academic credentials themselves of Harvard President Claudine Gay. Now, almost immediately after the hearing controversy, the Washington Free Beacon's Aaron Sabarian reported that significant portions of Claudine Gay's entire thesis appeared to have been copied and entire paragraphs from other academic work claimed as her own. Now, despite the frankly pretty good evidence that she did in fact commit plagiarism in her thesis, the exact act which many Harvard students have now been expelled for over the years, Harvard has stood by her. They don't want to bow to the cancellation mob. This has only since heightened the effort to review her academic record. More recent examples actually show further the extent of the alleged plagiarism within her thesis. The Free Beacon again reports an official academic report has now been filed against Claudine Gay with the Harvard Research Integrity Office detailing over 40 cases of alleged plagiarism. The funniest case, actually, is that Gay appears to have lifted entirely a section of acknowledgments in her thesis from someone else's dedication. But this is where I actually want to stop for a moment and make a point to try and connect it back to the free speech debate. The entire so-called plagiarism scandal is itself a smokescreen. The problem with her is not that she is an imperfect academic. It's that her entire brand of academia is a farce and a fiction. As I jokingly remarked on Twitter, or X as they latest have called it, when this scandal hit, it's impossible to plagiarize when your entire discipline is fake. Gay herself is an original of the anti-racist school of thought. Her entire thesis is racial gobbledygook that I had to go through, talking about taking charge, black electoral successes and the redefinition of American politics. It's written in 1997, and the entire document is basically dedicated to making the case of quotas and legislators and judges who are black in some sort of older school justification for DEI and affirmative action decisions made in the post-1965 era. Really, the point I want to make is this. The problem isn't the integrity of the academic work. Just the work itself is bad. Gay herself is the poster child of everything that has actually gone wrong with Harvard. She is not a real academic. Instead, she previously was the dean of Harvard Faculty of Arts and Sciences program, where they promoted her to president. This is how they bragged about her accomplishments. Quote, she created an expansive initiative on inequality in America, oversaw hires intended to bolster Harvard's offering in the areas of climate change and ethnic studies, and sanctioned several well-known professors accused of sexual harassment, without due process, by the way. In other words, she was a BLM hall monitor, as proven by her statements August of 2020, when she was the DEI dean at Harvard. She said, "Our engagement in anti-racist action and the infusion of inclusive practices into all aspects of our teaching and research mission reflect a new sense of institutional responsibility and require sustained effort over time." So again, I have a message to those who are involved in this fight. The problem is not Claudine Gay. The problem is the whole system. If you want further proof of destructive ideology and how it goes through these institutions, consider, as my friend has pointed out, all 7 of the Colorado justices who ruled on the Trump ballot were appointed by Democrats. The only thing that distinguishes the 4 who ruled to remove Trump is that they all attended the Ivy League for law school. The 3 who dissented are Denver law graduates. We have 2 ways that we can go in this moment. You understand the destructive effect of elite systems themselves that produces and promotes Claudine Gays. Or you try to get a scalp in the name of guarding against fake accusations of anti-Semitism. Bill Ackman and his people want the latter, and I want the former. And I think it's time to very much reframe the entire message around this. I'm curious what you make of this, Crystal. I've been very annoyed because I feel like people are becoming fake hall monitors, and they're like, well, she didn't improperly. So I'm like, I don't care about that. That's not the problem. It's like with the genocide comment. It's like, oh, so now we're just supposed to put Jews in the marginalization category. This is an invented scandal. in my opinion. So it's like, if you want to criticize DEI and go after the system and all that, I'm all on board. But unfortunately, I don't really see a lot of that.
Well, I mean,
that's why I'm so furious with this.
It's just very clear that the people like Chris Rufo, who are most associated with opposition to quote unquote DEI or identity politics, like now that it's a different group, they don't actually have like consistent principles. And Rufo was very open and upfront about the way that he wanted to plant this plagiarism story in mainstream media. He actually tweeted, "We launched the Claudine Gay plagiarism story from the right. The next step is to smuggle it into the media apparatus of the left, legitimizing the narrative to center-left actors who have the power to topple her, then squeeze." So just so you know.
You do have to give it to him.
No, like listen, maybe so, okay, but you know, the plagiarism stuff is legitimate. Right. And so I guess, you know, even though it came from a bad place, we should still look at it. But just be aware, it's not like this is like a good faith attempt to ensure academic integrity. They're pissed off that she said, no, actually, if you are pro-Palestinian and you know, are at a march or you're doing a chant or whatever, and you're not harassing or bullying or hurting anyone, you have a right to do that. She stood up for free speech in the way that conservatives have been asking these presidents to stand up for free speech. And the minute that it was a group that they had a different feeling about, they turned on a dime. So that's where this whole conversation comes from. And I think it's very important for people to understand the context with which these charges are being leveled at her.
This is my thing too, just for we understand. It's about principles and systems. If you want to talk and critique about them, that's fine. But trying to work in this individual way, especially, look, I respect some of Chris Rufo's work, but part of the problem I have is that he's willing to sign on, you know, to somebody like Ackman, where I don't think Ackman is even working towards the same end at all. I mean, Rufo, look, to be transparent, has always been after DEI. He's just a lot more, I guess, like politically savvy. I can't.
Yeah, but not on this one.
Well, I mean,
he wants Jewish people to have a special carve out where the rules are different. I mean, that's why he's going after Marine
I actually
Gay.
don't think he does. I think he thinks Ackman and this latest crusade is a useful idiot. And this is a tactical defeat. And this is kind of what I was doing this.
But that's ridiculous because now what you're pressuring is for someone to come in who is more censorious,
I agree
who is more committed to the things that you supposedly oppose. So it's preposterous.
I'm with you 100%. They disagree with me. They're like, any scalp is good. It just shows the system that they have to, you know, it's like fuck around and find, I guess we're behind the paywall, fuck around and find out that you can do that. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think the net result will be worse. Their tactical thing is if you can get a scalp and you can show that the right has power, then they'll try and, you know, come to us.
Yeah, what has that power gotten them? What it's gotten them is more like pro-censorship wins than the left was ever able to accomplish. I mean, they did more to enshrine and guarantee there will be more censorship on college campuses. And, you know, the next time that a college student feels unsafe or whatever, that they'll have more avenues to pursue that. Well, that's what they're winning here.
I don't think it's fair to say than the left has ever accomplished.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You think that anti-Semitism witch hunt is as bad as the BLM one?
Just look at what happened here. Just look at what happened here. These presidents, they instantly caved the minute that there was a backlash to them saying, well, actually the context of the speech matters. And if it's not bullying or harassment, like that was the right answer. And so even after BLM and the left and whatever, these presidents actually had the right answer on free speech, and that's gone now. They all capitulated.
I would put it this way, is that I still do believe that it absolutely is the case if you said that about black or trans people, that you would be gone at Harvard tomorrow. And also, the fact is that they did cave to the...
Said what about black or trans people? Because that's the other piece, is it's not like anyone was calling for genocide. So,
I agree.
So it's preposterous.
Well, yeah, but under their definition, if I say that little kids shouldn't be plugged full of hormones, they'd be like, you're anti-trans and you're calling for a trans genocide. If I think you should ban 18-year-olds or anyone under 18.
But give me an example of that actually happening, where someone said something that was uncomfortable. I mean, there may be examples of that, but in this instance, they gave the right answer. That can be used then in other instances. Well, you said that this was the context here. So over here, now that someone is saying they're saying, like, then you make them commit to the words that they've already put out there. But to then demand censorship in the interest of, well, you would have censored here, so I want you to censor across the board, that's stupid.
I'm not even disagreeing.
Ridiculous.
I agree with you completely. That's why I did this entire monologue, because I'm like, guys, it's not about that. It's about the whole Ivy League. It's about this whole corrupt system. And I don't think, unfortunately, they care much about that. I would like to see things change completely. We would move much more in the direction of, instead of having hearings about, for example, what is your code of conduct policy on anti-Semitism? I'd be like, yeah, how much money are you guys making? How much hedge fund dollars are moving around here? Maybe we should pay some taxes on that. That's what they actually fear, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
In terms of going after profits and, hey, how come you guys have more administrators than you do students? That's pretty interesting. You're making these people completely bankrupt and you have no share in any of their futures. And yet you're all building, I should send you this from the Wall Street Journal. Do you know where all these new student dollars are going? To granite countertops in dorm rooms. Now, I had a 100-year-old dorm. It was such a piece of shit. And I'm not saying necessarily that's a good thing, but I mean, the idea that everyone should go into deeper debt so that I could have slept in a nicer bedroom and had access to a lazy river and all these other student services is preposterous. So look, this is again a question about systems, what's upholding this entire thing, what real fights, questions, and all of them are about, and differences in tactics. So I do think we agree at least on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, this is like, we may not agree on this part, but this is basically like capitalism applied to the university system. The students become the customer. Why did they put into place these perks? To try to attract the student body that already has money. Why? Because they're the ones and their parents who are more likely to give them more money for the university. That's the system that you're talking about. But on the core level with all of this, I just want to say, I don't know if she's a plagiarist. I didn't look at it. I literally haven't read the stories because to me, I can't get past the fact that there was this fake outrage over things that students didn't even say with regard to genocide. And then, moments later, they're backing dollars for bombs to be dropped on kids in what many scholars are saying is actually a genocide. To me, I just can't get past that and what it says about the insane priorities and like decrepit, ridiculous, absurd system of distraction that we have instead of any form of like democracy or actual interest in what would be good for the people. So I can't get past that part of the story to even engage with like Chris Rufo's plagiarism thing.
That's fair. I will say CNN covered it and they even said that
that was his goal. So, he said, let me get this into mainstream media and then we'll squeeze. So I guess it's working.
You gotta give it to him.
Chris.
He is good at what he does.
Your quest for more censorship is working out. I hope you're happy.
Let's move on.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed seeing us react to each other's monologues, make sure you subscribe so that you can see our reactions to every single piece of commentary.
That's right. Go to breakingpoints.com, become a premium subscriber today.